Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer in a windy winner's circle at Belmont Park. Belmont Stakes week in full swing. The DRF Friday race of the day is race number 10 at Belmont. It's the Grade 1 New York fillies and mares going 1.25 miles on the inner turf. Let's take a look at this field. All of our coverage this week presented by our good friends at Spendthrift. Please scan the QR code for race of the day access on your mobile device, and remember to view free formulator past performances for the race of the day on the race of the day event page at drf.com. And Mike Beer, what a surprise. Chad Brown's got this race pretty well surrounded.
Yeah, New York with a field of only 4 Chad Browns in here. I suspect he's going to have the 3 favorites come post time as well. I guess it's just, in some ways, Dan, a question of which one do you prefer?
And the 4th, who might not be among the favorites, looks like the speed as we take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. They've got Flighty Lady, the number 1, stretching out from 1 mile to this 1.25 mile distance and breaking from the inside post on the lead in a gray bar situation, which means this pace could be really slow. Yeah. That could favor another Chad horse, Virginia Joy, who went gate to wire last time. That might be her new running style.
It'll be interesting to see if they try the same tactics in here. Obviously, that was a lot of circumstantial stuff going on there in the Sheep's Head Bay last time, but they did the right thing and put her on the front. I don't know about Flighty Lady as a speed, Dan. Maybe she is. She certainly gets out of the gate well. They've never really tried to make the lead with her, but they certainly could here.
If she's not on the lead, she will be close going into the first turn under Eric Cancel. That's the number 1 Flighty Lady, making her second start off of a lengthy layoff. I don't think her last race, the second level allowance, is as bad as it looks on paper. It was her first race off of a lengthy layoff. She was wide. There wasn't a ton of pace. She's just going to have to do a lot better against this much tougher field.
Yeah, this is going to require a pretty big step forward for her in a race like this. You're right. Off the layoff last time, I suppose you could make some excuses. She did have to steady a little bit in the stretch of that race, but that's only because she was basically out of horse at that point, got in between, and just sort of took up a little bit. Maybe she just needed the race, though, Dan. She came over with some pretty good credentials from France for Chad Brown. She hasn't really lived up to that yet since she's gotten over here, but she's still very lightly raced.
She brought up good credentials. Rougir brought in better ones. She won a Group 1 as the favorite at Longchamp last year, over-yielding going, and there's some rain in the forecast in New York this week. That could really help Rougir. I thought she had a little bit of trouble in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare tour, sort of a start-stop trip where she was steadied a few times. Don't think she would have won with a perfect trip.
No.
She won, looked good in her seasonal debut. First race for Chad, we're going to watch it right now. The Grade 3 Bogey going 1 16 miles. She sat off the pace, she swung to the outside. Love the way she finished.
Yeah, I mean, she just looks really good winning this race. It wasn't a great field in the Bogey. On the other side, on the other hand, though, Dan, it's a lot shorter than she probably wants to go. It feels like stretching back out to the 1.25 miles for this race is only going to help her. A really nice performance, though, in that Bogey that we just watched there. Looked awful good winning at a very short price. This is a step up in class, but she's already proven over in France that she can handle it.
That's right. Group 1 win came at 1.25 miles. The Bogey 1 16 miles. Virginia Joy might even want to go a little bit further than 1.25 miles. Let's watch her most recent race. This is the Grade 2 Sheep's Head Bay. Now, she caught a very boggy turf course. She only caught 3 overmatched foes, and she went right to the front, dictated the pace, and sprinted on home. As you see, she wins as pounds the best. This is a much tougher spot, but her newfound tactical speed puts her in good stead.
It'll be interesting to see how they decide to ride her this time, Dan. They did the right thing, obviously, last time in a race where it just felt like she really couldn't lose no matter what they did. Trevor McCarthy didn't really play any games at 2 to 5, put her on the front. She won for fun, triple-digit buyer. She was pretty good last year. I feel like she's taken a pretty big step forward. 2 for 2 so far this year. I think they're the 2 best races she's ever run.
I think you just said a mouthful. I think she's reached peak maturity in her 2 starts this year, and her win 2 starts back came over firm going, so maybe she wasn't a complete wet track move up last time. Core Values making the 3rd start of the form cycle for a very underrated trainer in Vicky Oliver, and I thought she ran just fine last time out in the Grade 3 Bewitch Mike. She was in against Warlike Goddess and has championship quality. The runner-up Family Way, who's also in that field, finished second, but she has more tactical speed than the Core Values, and there just wasn't a lot of speed in that race. She finished up well, and she's going to be under the radar from a wagering standpoint.
Absolutely. She has an awful lot to prove in a race like this. I suppose, landing in another paceless race doesn't do her any favors, especially when she's rising in class again. I thought she ran really well last time, though, Dan, finishing as well as anybody in the late stages of that race. I think she remains underrated. She's still very lightly raced. She's going to need some kind of help up front, it feels like, in this race. But I think there's a chance she could crack perhaps the exacta or trifecta at a big price here.
What's not to like about Bleecker Street? 6 for 6 lifetime for Chad Brown. She scored last time out in the Grade 3 Modesty, and heck, she's learned how to change leads. She was at the back of the pack as usual. She doesn't have a lot of early speed. She split horses in the stretch. She finished with a flourish. Now she's got to do it at 1.25 miles in a race that may not set up for her.
She's got to do it while stretching out to the furthest distance of her career. She's got to do it against against better horses. Again, they're going to continue to rise this horse in class. And, you know, I guess that's what you're supposed to do, Dan. She's 6 for 6. She finishes really well in her races. So I do feel like the 1.25 miles could certainly be within her scope. It's all a question of whether she continues to class up. This is a way tougher spot.
I thought Lovely Lucky would make the running last time out in the Sheepshead Bay, but they rode Virginia Joy the right way. She was the best horse on paper. They got her to the front with clean air. Lovely Lucky took a couple shots at her on the turn, just wasn't good enough that day. I'm a fan of Lovely Lucky. I like her tactical speed. I just think grade 1s are too tough for her.
We look at her the exact same way. I'm a fan as well. The distance is a good one for her. And listen, she really is tactical in a race that doesn't have a lot of pace. So those things are in her favor. The question is she really good enough against a field like this one?
The number 7 is Family Way. She's very, very consistent. She just missed to Virginia Joy 3 starts back, beaten a length. I thought she had every chance to win that race, however. She made the lead. She wasn't good enough. She did come back to win a graded stakes, perhaps flattering Virginia Joy in the process. Let's watch her last start. This is the Bewitched at Keeneland. She showed good tactical speed. She just was in against a freaking Warlike Goddess.
Warlike Goddess is very good, and Family Way just couldn't go with that horse in the late stages. That's also core value you see in this race, rallying for third with a pretty good finish, Dan. I like Family Way as a horse. I do respect the fact that she could get a really good trip in this race, but as you've already mentioned, that Virginia Joy race 3 starts back, she had every chance on that day. She was not good enough. It feels like this spot might be even tougher than that one.
But I love her tactical speed, again, in a race where that is at a premium. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. It's Belmont Stakes Week. We'll have great handicapping analysis for you all week long. Top pick time for the New York. Mike, who do you like?
I'm going to take one of the Chads on top. I went with number 2, Rougir, a horse that I somehow tried to beat last time, and it didn't go too well for me. She did look good winning that race, though, Dan. She's got the back class. This is the right distance for her. I think there was plenty to like. Between her and Virginia Joy, I gave her a slight edge. My idea in the race, though, was to try to get the 4 core values in there somewhere at a price.
Virginia Joy is where I'm going to go. I like her tactical speed. I think that's a new style they're going to use. And like you, I think she's been at her best this year in 2022. I think she gets the jump on them turning into the stretch. I really want to use Rougir in any kind of multiple race wagers. It could be Chad Brown's world yet again in the grade 1 New York. Best of luck with your wagers.